All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome, Dr. Stacy here. I'm so excited you are joining us this evening. Before we get started, because we've got a lot here that needs to be covered, I want you guys to hear every single ounce of this. Please know that I'm not a medical doctor. I am joined by Dr. Pena, who is a medical doctor, but he's not your medical doctor. So if you have any questions in regards to your health, your medicines, your practice, anything at all to do with your healthcare, please check with your practitioner or your doctor. The information that we are sharing this evening about LifeWave's technology, about regenerative medicine, is for informational purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, cure, anything. If you're pregnant, nursing, on medications, again, check with your healthcare practitioner. I'm going to share Dr. Pena's information, and I know he has some to add to this as well, too, for his bio. So he was born in San Jose, California, and received his BS in bioscience in 1985 from UC Irvine, valedictorian 1991, California College of Podiatry Medicine, Doctor of Podiatry Medicine, DPM, Podiatry School, Surgical Residency, get all this out, Veterans Affairs, Palo Alto, California, 1992, and then went to Hayward, California in 1993, to Kaiser, Indiana Health Service, Phoenix, Arizona, 94 to 2022, board certified American Academy of Pain Management, extensive experience with diabetic peripheral neuropathy, board certified in foot surgery, extensive experience in diabetic wound care, limb salvage. For over 25 years, provided care at remote Native American clinics throughout Arizona, including the Supe Village in Grand Canyon, pioneered use of continuous diffusion oxygen for limb salvage, paid speaker for the above company, EO2 Concepts, wound consultant utilizing stem cell containing products, different types of products, and Apex Medical within Phoenix, Arizona. That was a mouthful. Dr. Pena, your bio from that part right there was, and podiatry was absolutely amazing in what you've done in pain management. So talk to us a little bit about what you have going on since then. And of course, please, tell us how you found out about LifeWave, take us up to that point where you said, this is something I want to utilize in clinical practice and application and what I'm doing out in the field. And then we'll go from there after you kind of catch us up to speed.
Sure. So I've been using the technology personally for 5 years. Connie Lucas shared it with me. We had a relationship from a previous company because my daughter has, sorry, I thought I muted the phone, has an inflammatory systemic arthritis problem. And when she took medications that many people are taking that suppress your immune system, she would get infections. That also increases your risk of cancer. And that's very pertinent now because most people who have an inflammatory, whether it's pain, inflammatory gut, inflammatory skin issue right now, if you watch TV, everything, all the medications end with MAB or NIB. Those are all monoclonal antibodies, and they just suppress your immune system like this. Now, when we talk about, for example, EON, suppresses inflammation, it doesn't just, it's not like a wet blanket that just puts out this, this raging fire. The immune system is a very complex.
What are the top 3 oils for cooking?
Number 3, canola oil, if you can find,
and beautiful symphony of things that are increasing, decreasing. It's a balancing. And so when we utilize this technology as clinicians or as non-clinicians, even better, we don't have to worry about causing risks of infections. And that's huge because that's what people are having problems with when they use these medications. They're risky, they're expensive, and you don't want to use them if you can avoid them. And most people don't know anything about LifeWave. That's what they do. They just, my doctor said I'll do this, so I'll try it. So what I found are people who are looking for, they say, I know these issues. I don't want to take these. And then we can share those. Because if you talk to somebody who says, well, I'm doing exactly what my doctor says, I'm going to do this, they are not open. They're not likely to listen to what we have to share. That's okay. So that's about the information. I was introduced, like I said, 5 years ago. I was in practice with the government and I couldn't use them on my patients and I couldn't do outside projects. So I just used it on myself. I didn't feel anything overnight. And this is really important. You may hear some people say, well, if you're in really good shape, you're not going to feel it for a long time. Or if you're in really bad shape, you're not going to feel it for a long time. You can't predict anything. Like Dr. Nicholas says, every time he does a demo, he goes, I never know what's going to happen. But, so the thing is, it's about consistency. You want to start early, start as soon as you hear about this, because you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's brewing already. And then you want to be consistent. So 5 years of consistency, like I said, I don't even know when I started feeling things. It was just kind of gradual. And it hasn't fixed everything. I still have my glasses and everything's not perfect, but I'm grateful for all the things that I have got. So I'm not a one patch wonder, miracle, or anything like that. So use it consistently, and that's when you're going to see these benefits. Now, when you go to the doctor, do you say to the doctor, well, I don't think this medicine is going to work, but I'll try it for a month. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to do it anymore. You don't say that. So don't have that attitude here. Be more patient. Like I said, there's no risk. You've seen the growth of the company. You've seen how many miraculous stories have happened, but even more mundane things. It's not the subject of this, but people are sleeping better. People, and we talked about inflammation, not just, like pain in your joints, but skin problems. Skin breaks open, you get infections. How many people have GI issues? How does that impact your life? So these are the simple things. And just like I said, be patient. Use the same yardstick that you use with the with the medical treatments that you have and all the things that you're used to, and just give it a chance. Like I said, so I couldn't use it. I used it myself. I patched a few people here and there. I was amazed at how fast pain relief would happen. I've patched people, and you don't need to know the anatomy. You don't need to know where the nerves run. You don't need to know anything, because when I would do injections to numb up the foot for surgery, I can numb up the whole ankle because it's a distal extremity, meaning that I can stop all the nerve conduction in and out. But when you're up around the shoulder or the elbow, nerves come back. They come back around, send branches. We don't know where. The only way to numb that would be to numb your whole arm. You have to block off the whole arm and infuse it with local anesthetic. I can put a patch on somebody's, bicep or whatever, and then they go, it feels more pain back here. So I'll just move it to wherever they say the pain is. Just listen to your body, and the body tells you. And I've been able to get rid of pain much more effectively than with injections or anything else. The other thing is with these patches, you don't know exactly what's going to happen. So like I said, you want to listen to your body. Sometimes I've had people have increased pain, very unusual, but I say, hey, at least it's working, right? It's not placebo effect.
Mm-hmm. Something's moving, right? Something's moving.
Energy, yes.
So talk to me a little bit. You said you retired from that. You've moved on doing. So what are you seeing now that you're able to freely do the things that you want to do? What are you into now? Talk to us about that.
You name it, I'm into it. Like somebody says, just wind me up and let me go. But it's all from LifeWave, because LifeWave has freed me or gave me the idea to leave the restricted medical model. And now I can share this technology and train people, and I can have way more of an impact.
Does fasting help you lose weight?
A normal person, 8 hours after they finish their last meal.
With people who know nothing about health, as long as they're open and they're coachable, I can make more of an impact in the world with people like that than I could, because I could only teach residents and students and other surgeons and people like that. And that's a very small segment of the population. I'm involved in projects from Cabo to Canada. I shared some of this information with some people in Mexico. They led me to other people. And this is the thing. You may be the only person that could share this with that somebody might listen to because they trust you or whatever reason. So if you feel called to share it, don't be afraid. Just share it. The worst they can say is no, and they might come back to you. And people say, well, I don't think it's going to work. But if you've already run out of options, what's it going to hurt? So the other projects I'm involved with are actual stem cell labs. They're outside the country, but we're going to institute that into some Native American projects because they have sovereign land. So that's brought me to that. We're also doing gene therapy. So I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm just telling you, I am deeply involved in other projects, medical. It's a high-tech med spa chain. These people get it. And so I'm walking with giants now. I'm not just like, well, I didn't want to do work anymore and I'm just going to go off and play with this. This is the most important thing that you can do with your life. I mean, you know that. I'm preaching to the choir. But if you want to help people, I do a Zoom that's connected to people in Mexico. And we're changing lives, where they have almost nothing. And David Schmidt has not raised the price of this product, this technology, X39, since it came out 6 years ago. And people tell him, you should, increase this. He says, I want everybody to have access to it. Name one thing that hasn't gone up in price in 6 years, right? So that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because I find people wherever who say, oh, I need to share this with, my mom's, got a hip problem, or, we're worried about her osteoporosis or, whatever. There is nothing that can do what LifeWave does. And as I've used it more, I hear more and more stories. And so that's why I just keep, even though I'm involved with these high-tech projects, this is the foundation. And I tell people, because not everybody can afford it. So some of my surgeons are saying, look, maybe you can't do whatever we're doing here, but maybe try LifeWave. So this is getting a lot of validity. It's getting a lot of credibility. I was fortunate. I saw it 6 years ago or 5 years ago. I wasn't looking to fix anything. I was, I was now 62, so I was 57, good health. Didn't have any particular problems, no medications. But I said, wow, I'd like to stay like this. I'm not just staying like that. I'm reversing the aging process. And you see that. I mean, the older people in your practice or on your team, you look and I know they're on Zoom, so they're like right up close. And what other meeting platform, Zoom, anything, do people go, well, I'm 75 years old. Nobody boasts about their age, but they do here because that's not your age anymore. It is, like I said, it's so fantastic that we can share this with people, and there's no risk. I've met plenty of people like yourself who are doing, they do quantum energy or quantum healing, energy medicine, all these different disciplines that people say, there's no hard science with that, but they're getting results because they've had a practice for 20 or 30 years. And they tell me, I can't do with all my, different machines and measurements and tricks and trade, I can't do what I can do with these patches. And when I hear that, I go, that's pretty impressive. So, those are the other projects I'm involved in. And it's just, and LifeWave's led me to them all. Now, I'm not your average bear, but I can help your average bear, make more. And right, the biggest people in this business making the most money, having the biggest teams aren't doctors, right? Maybe you're an exception, but they're not doctors. So you don't have to be a doctor. You just have to care. And so what I say, keep it simple. Wear it, share it. It's like Connie Lucas said, it's like 5 years old. Follow the leader and show and tell. You just show it. You don't tell them a lot.
If you suffer from burning or tingling in your feet, stop eating these 3.
Right? You just create the curiosity And then you just say, here's my website, here's the training, here's the Zoom with Dr. Stacy and Connie, and we have an amazing team. I mean, all of us, and this is so nice that we get to collaborate. You know, I met you in Houston at boot camp, right? So I've got friends throughout the organization, and I don't go to things for training. I go to party with my friends and my friends, like you and your team and everybody else. So
Yeah, I love that.
so that's like I said, I can't not do this. This is, as a healer, you know exactly what I mean. This is, it's such a blessing to have this tool from David, and there's more and more coming, and all the other things he's involved in. And when I first heard that at a first convention, I went, whoa, who is this guy? You know, he's not just some scientist, but he was involved in, you know, giving money to lots of different projects. And when I heard that and what he wants to do for humanity, I just said, man, I want to be on that inner circle. And I'm working to get there. So even though I'm a doctor, I still have to earn my place at the table. So,
you know, I think there's a couple things that you've said, Dr. Pena, that I want to kind of go back to. So first off, you said that since leaving the traditional allopathic medicine world and the world you're into now, it's just one thing after another snowballed where you're meeting all of these people, and you said LifeWave is the foundation of that. And I kind of want to bring that back to David, because so many people have said, well, if he's this scientist, this researcher, this inventor, why is he using this platform?
Fair question.
Because that's what he was led to. One thing led to the next, to the next, to the next, and people kept referring.
Exactly. He'll tell you this. He developed this when he was working for the Department of Defense. He didn't develop for them, but he developed it while he was with them. And he said, hey, this can help the mitochondria and the ATP process, help these operators, the special operators, Navy SEALs, work without, increase their activity. And these are young, healthy people, but they have to use stimulants to stay awake and all these different things to monitor. And a lot of those guys now with PTSD, because their brain's been rewired with all the other crap they've been using. But that's what he did. He says, he didn't know anything about network marketing. And he said, I don't know, but it was led to him. And that's how I have been led to. I see somebody, I meet somebody here, and I say, well, this, I know this or that, or I see this that I could, address. And that's how it's just led me, like you said, like David. But David, and the thing is, and you might want to edit this out, I don't know, but my own personal opinion is, at first I was actually nervous because this is disruptive technology, okay? And when you're being disruptive, you're taking money away from somebody, and people will fight to not lose something they already have. Mm-hmm. My concern was at some point somebody might step in and, since we're a general wellness product, right? Technology, we help the body do what it's already doing. We don't treat, cure, or prevent any, particular diseases, but we don't have to. The body just takes care of all these things. And in our case, it's in reverse aging. Now, I did a Zoom last Friday in Spanish. There were a couple of 13-year-olds who had, they were on the spectrum, I guess you could say, had some behavior issues, didn't engage, didn't like to do certain things. And this has changed that. So it's not just about stem cells. It's about communication. It's about rebalancing and regenerating. And the body is smarter than the doctors, myself included. So when you talk about, being led and how this all just came about, David didn't know anything about it. But I think about this a lot of times. I'll wake up in the morning and I just can't go back to sleep. So people say, are there side effects to this? Yeah, it keeps me from sleeping sometimes because I wake up in the morning and I got all these things going. I can go to sleep like that at night, but I got morning monkey mind. When I wake up, I'm like, oh, who do I need to contact? What am I doing today? I just get so excited. And I say, look, I may be dramatic, but I never exaggerate. But I'm enthusiastic. People think you're crazy. So it's really important not to say too much, but you want to, you want to just, share it and let them see it rather than saying it to them. So when people are, like you said, David was led to this, and I am so glad because I feel that we are too big to fail now because enough people know about us. So if they were to try and bury this, there's too many people that know about it. So I don't think that's ever going to happen. The interesting thing is, and this comes back to the network marketing or whatever relationship marketing is, people don't like that model. And I just was driving around today looking at all the people in cars and stuff. I'm like, most of these people don't know anything about it.
Why are millions of people with neck pain switching to this weird looking device? When you sit at your desk or use your phone, your head protrudes forward.
And it's so perfect. People will say, well, I know the president of, whatever, and I'm going to tell him and they'll run it down. It doesn't work that way. This is relationship. It's from the ground up. It's boots on the ground. You have to have that relationship, and then you can move it up, and you don't know who knows who. So the other thing it says, wear it, share it, and don't let anybody take it away from you. That's my main thing is, as I'm the credibility, I'm like, look, whoever is, I'm not saying I know the most, but I can almost guarantee you anybody that I'm talking to about this doesn't know more about healthcare or the system, fitness, this technology, anti-aging than I do. There are people who do, but if they're arguing with me, they probably don't. So if you have any questions about this, just go to your upline. They'll get up to, whoever's active, they'll get to Stacy or to me or to whomever, and we'll get you that information. We're not here to convince or argue. We're here to educate and empower. If you want to come along, love to have you, but I'm not going to let you pee in my pool. I'm not going to let you take people out and say, hey, this is nonsense. You shouldn't, you're wasting your money or whatever, because $100 is nothing. In Mexico, it's a lot of money. Here, it's nothing. So that's my role that I see in here. And like I said, David, we're just led like you, the way you came to it. So
yeah, absolutely. So to my second question, something that was brewing that I heard you say earlier. As a kindergartner, you said, follow the leader and what, monkey see, monkey do? Is that how you said it?
Show and tell. Yeah,
show and tell. Okay, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, so you just say, hey,
morning monkey mind.
Oh, morning. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So show and tell. So let's do that. So follow.
That's
so
you
said follow your
that's
upline. No, well, follow your upline or follow the people that are doing it right. But show and tell. So tell me, obviously, this is what our patch looks like. So we're showing it. But tell me, how does this work for our guests that are on here tonight or someone listening?
Oh, sure. Thanks. I didn't think about that. So
far is amazing. Everyone's like mind, but tell us.
I'm not like any other doctor you've met, and because I'm just open. I don't know everything, and I'm like, well, maybe it works, and this does work, and it's helped so many people, helped so many other people. The way it works is it's basically a reflector. Think of it like a reflector or a mirror, or you could think of it as a laser, kind of a passive laser. So a laser takes a certain frequency of electromagnetic energy or of light, and it concentrates it. So we get one frequency. That's why it's that certain color. That's why it can burn through. It'll only go through skin. It won't cut into the bone. That kind of thing. It's very specific. These patches, I don't have mine as years, are very specific also. So the important thing is people say, well, which patch do I need? Well, I have inflammation, so I need the ER patch. Well, I have this, so I need this patch. All you need is really the X39 because it is the one patch to rule them all. It does everything by upregulating GHK copper. So people say when they talk about copper, there's no copper really in this patch. What it's doing is, so when you have a hemoglobin molecule, most people know there's an iron molecule attached to it. Actually, there's 4 molecules together, but you have a molecule of iron, okay? This has a molecule of copper attached to 3 amino acids. It's all you need to know. But what it does from the studies from Lauren Picard 30 years ago, not our science, we didn't pay for this. And if you go on, and this was really interesting, I was looking up something online. If you go on and Google GHK copper or glutathione or things like that, you will see products that are already out there that people are selling for injection, for creams, for pills, and all these things. that's how important these things are. And people have been trying to make these things, but when they're exogenous, when they come from outside your body, they're not stable, they're not good, they're not going to do really anything. So this is so elegant because the body creates, it's making its own. And people say, well, what if it makes too much? It's not going to make too much because it knows what to do. So my testosterone was tested it was higher than normal, and such that my doctor said, well, we should do an ultrasound on your adrenals to make sure you don't have a tumor producing, that might be producing testosterone. And I will do that, but I know I don't. It's just LifeWave. So I've never used steroids, anabolic steroids, human growth hormone, testosterone, peptides, nothing like that. And I look better than anybody in the gym, not because that's my goal. My goal when I'm in the gym is so I don't have back pain. So I'm working on my core, just functional medicine, or functional exercise. But all these other people, they're spending a lot of money and they're not getting the kind of results that I am, or you are, or,
If you're someone who cares about healthy eating and increasing the protein in your diet, listen up, because Ultimate Protein.
Millions of other people. So I kind of got off track a little bit. It works by receiving heat from your body. We say light, but it's really, think of it as infrared spectrum. Mm-hmm. We're always generating heat till we're dead, right? So when it hits the crystals, there are nanocrystals. That just means very small crystals in a specific configuration. And he's developed those over time, over the 20 years. And like we said before, X39 came out 6 years ago. Prior to that, he had things that would increase a specific peptide or hormone, I don't know, hormone, but peptide, melatonin is hormone. Melatonin, glutathione, carnosine, these things. And those were based on specific frequency. So this one, he figured out how to he figured out, or was led or given by divine, inspiration or whatever. That's what he talks about, that found the frequency that tells our cells to increase the production of GHK copper. And that's what this, so someone said X39, X49 are like 2.0. Those are the regenerative patches. So the other ones, you don't need the other ones unless for, maybe you try the X39 for a while, and if you're not getting the results you want. Like I just had, my knee was swelling because I was playing a lot of pickleball. I was playing like 5 sets of singles pickleball with somebody who's a pro, teaching pro for, we do that about 3 days a week on concrete. So my knee started to swell up, and I put the X39 on there, but then I remembered the protocol. We put Eon on the medial, on the inside of the knee, and glutathione on the outside. And when I woke up in the morning, it was significantly better because I didn't feel the tightness when I flexed my knee. And I had already been using X39. So every once in a while, you might try things, but the X39 is the one, because it's simple, and many times it takes away the pain. You can wear it in the back of the neck or below the navel where they did the studies, or wherever it hurts. If it hurts somewhere, put it there. And I've seen most of the time that people's pain gets better. And just real quick on pain, like I talked about when I would give injections or certain modalities would get pain down. A successful treatment in pain is if we can get it to go down 2 points. So that means if your pain's an 8, if we get it down to 6, that's considered successful. We go from 8 to like 2 or 1 in seconds. This is not, people they don't understand what's normal. And I have a patient who, not a patient, a friend, who broke her ankle, and her friend came to the hospital, and they were able to control the pain with LifeWave. And I can show you, it was like dislocated. It was what we call trimalleolar fracture. Patient was in the hospital. If it's my patient, I would have had him on a patient-controlled anesthesia, PCA pump, where they can hit the button, because that way they could get the morphine as they needed it for this acute injury. They wouldn't have to wait for the nurses to get a free moment to get there and take care of it. By then, the pain's already gone up. She managed her perioperative pain with LifeWave patches. And when I saw it, I said, it's just one more, reason number 653 to, to use life with.
Exactly.
So I try and get it back to the pain and the inflammation. But so X30, I would do X39 if you have inflammatory issues of the skin, gut, or joints. You could start with, you could add that in just right away. I mean, you have more experience of patching people than I do, and you just never know. So it's what people want to try or what their budget allows.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Pena, for being here this evening. Thank you for the words of wisdom, all the knowledge that you shared with your expertise and background and all the things that you're doing. And again, I love that you said so many people are going, yeah, this makes sense. Even if